start this joint mobility circuit out with lateral neck rotations. Turn your head from right to left, going at a range of motion that is no more than a 4 out of 10 from a discomfort level. We're going to do 12 repetitions of everything so you can keep count on your own. But as we go through this, I'll also alert you to a change. From there, we're going to go chin to chest and then chin to the ceiling. So we're going to do up, downs with the neck. Again, try to keep the movement just in the neck. Want to work on the range of motion without getting the shoulders or the upper back into it. From this position, we're going to go ear to shoulder. So again, take your ear directly to the side, trying to touch the top of your shoulder with your ear. Obviously, probably not going to get there, but that is the range of motion that you're going to get. And be patient with the movement. Sometimes it starts out a little bit stiff. As we go through this, the motion will loosen up a little bit more. We're going to go to chicken neck next. So you're gliding your chin forward and pulling your chin back. So now we're going to do lateral glides, and you're really just trying to take your ears and move them side to side. A lot of times people want to tuck their chin or turn their head when they do this, but try to keep your head or your eyes on level and just move your head side to side. We're going to go to shoulder circles backwards, both shoulders at the same time. So you're going to shrug, then roll your shoulders back, drop them down, roll them forward. And as big of a circle as you can. Again, try to make this just about the shoulders. You don't have to get the whole body involved. Do 12. Now we're going to switch directions. Now we're going to alternate backwards. So take one backwards, and then as the other one's coming around and down, the other shoulder will go up and back. Now you're actually going to get a little bit of movement in that torso as you do the alternating backwards. Then switch. We're going to go forward now. Now we're going to do double arm backstrokes. We're going to take both hands leading with the thumbs and do backwards circle with the entire arm. Then we're going to reverse direction. Again, lead with the thumb. Take your palms away from each other as you come down the front of your body. Now we're going to alternate in a backstroke type of motion, but now we're going to do one arm followed by the other. Your shoulders will rotate a little bit as you do this. That's okay. And then we'll reverse direction, do forward, alternating arm circles. From here, we're going to do pendulum swings. So you're going to take both arms and you're going to swing them across the front of your body. Let gravity take them down. You're just going to do a little bit of work to bring them up and back, but this should be a relatively gentle motion. Now we're going to take that same motion, but we're going to turn it into a figure eight. So you're drawing a big figure eights with your arms, And as you can see, my shoulders are rotating. That is perfectly fine. Think about what direction that you're going, because when we reverse, the best thing you can do is pause and then reverse the direction. And don't be frustrated if sometimes it gets a little bit weird one side versus the other. That's completely normal. Now we're going to take the arms across the chest and back like we're trying to give ourselves a big hug. When you take your arms back, you keep your palms facing forward so we get a nice stretch through the chest muscles. Now we're going to turn that motion into a figure eight. So you're going to cross your hands in front of the body. So palms down when you come down, palms up when you go up. And I just like to alternate which hand goes on top each time. From here, we're going to make the movement smaller. So we're going to go just in the elbows and the wrists. Now we're going to make the movements even smaller. Now we're going to keep the arms fixed, and now we're just going to go in the wrists. Going to work into some wrist mobility, so keeping your palms pressed together. You're just going to work your fingers from the right to the left, making most of the movement happen in the wrist. Just keep your elbows as close to parallel to each other. Now we're going to make a fist with our hands, and we're going to do a piston-like motion as we take our fist in a circle. So you'll see my elbows just kind of travel up and down as I make a circle, and then stop and reverse directions. Right, keep those fingers together. Press the hands out. From our elbow straight position, we're just going to take our arms straight up and back over our head to wherever our arms will allow, and then back down to touch the chest again. Take your arm out from your shoulders and hold them as close to parallel to the ground as you can. From this position, you want to rotate the palm up. Turn to look at the palm as you rotate the other arm in the opposite direction to the palm up position. You should feel like you're wringing out a dish rag as you do that. It's the same motion you'll be doing. For spinal wave, you want to start with the neck, round all the way down into your back, then scoop your knees under so that you can unravel and come back up. So the idea is to curl as much into a ball as your spine will allow you, and then uncurl back the way you came. Hands on your hips. Pretend like you've got a hula hoop around your hips and you're doing a hula hoop motion. So you want to take your hips in a circle. This motion doesn't have to be fast. You want to just try to find the biggest range of motion that you can while keeping your feet as flat on the floor as possible. Obviously, you can see sometimes you'll roll up under the toe, but try to keep that foot as flat as possible. So for your hinging motion, you're going to keep your hands on your hips. You're going to take your head down as if you're looking back between your legs for something, and then you're going to bring your pelvis forward as you look up overhead. When you bring your pelvis forward and you're looking up overhead, engage the glutes, and that will help keep the low back from feeling like it is getting pinched as you do this. Stay in the exact same position. We're just going to expand upon this same movement by now using our arms to reach back through our legs and then back overhead. Keeping your same foot position, now you're going to plant one palm on the floor, and you're going to take the other arm and rotate it up towards the ceiling and back as far as your shoulders will allow you to do so. I'm going to alternate hands and go through as much of a spinal twist as possible. Back in the standing position with your feet hip width apart. You're going to slowly reach out, keeping your hips stable. Reach your hand out as far to the side as you can. Then return to the middle and go the other direction. Change into spinal twist. Allow your arms to hang loosely. You're going to turn and look back behind you, as far behind you as you can, performing a spinal twist. Again, this should feel like the wringing of a towel as your shoulders are moving. Your hips are going to follow, but not quite to the same extent. Here, you can bring your arms up overhead, and you're going to perform a circle motion with your hands and a counter circle movement with your hips. So keep reaching up for the sky as you do this. You want your arms and your hips to move in opposite motions, so that when your arms as far to the right as possible, your hips are as far to the left as possible. Arms out to the side, rotate the right arm forward as you tap your left foot in front of your right, then reverse positions. Keep the foot that's stepping forward just a toe tap. You're not going to put the full weight of your foot onto the front foot. swivels. So what you're going to do now is move the pelvis from an anterior tilt to a hip height to a posterior tilt to a hip height on the other side, making as much of a swivel in the hips as possible. Do 12 reverse directions, and then do 12 going the other way. From here, feet together, hands on the kneecaps with the heel of your palm just above the kneecaps. You're going to take your knees in as big of a circle as possible, again trying to keep the feet as flat as possible as you do this motion. 12, and then switch directions. Take your feet a little bit wider than shoulder width, palms to the floor. And from here, you're going to keep your palms pressed into the floor as you drop your hips down into a frog position, and then straighten your legs out as much as possible. Do your best to keep your feet on the floor, even if your hip motion is a lot smaller than what's being shown on the video. As you gain more mobility in the hips, you'll be able to drop your hips down deeper while keeping your feet on the floor. Now move your feet together. This time when you come down, you'll drop your hips to your heels, coming onto the balls of your feet, and then straightening your legs back out so that you feel a stretch in the back of the legs when the legs are straight. Try to keep your palms flat. If you cannot, you can put your hands on an elevated surface to do this. Take your legs out as far as they will comfortably go apart. From here, we're going to shift laterally with the hips so that one knee bends while the other one straightens out completely. Glide back and forth between alternate positions, keeping your heels flat, trying to keep your toes pointing straight ahead. Assume a lunge position, and from this position, you're going to use your hand to pry your knee out to the side. You can allow your foot to roll into the outer blade of the foot. As you pry your knee to the side, you'll turn and look back over your shoulder in the same direction. Return back to a normal position and look back over your alternate shoulder. And we'll switch legs and do the exact same thing on the other side. Into a down dog position with your hips elevated. From here, you'll alternate pushing one heel down to make contact with the floor, and then bending the opposite leg. Pulse back and forth between the two legs. Adjust your feet forward or back to try to get your heel to make contact with the floor. From this position, keeping your hands in relatively the same position, drop your pelvis to the ground, engage your butt cheeks, and push your chest forward past your hands. From that position, you will return back to the elevated hip position, pushing your chest back through your hands and your heels down into the ground. This will be the last exercise of your joint mobility session.